me today about where the logic's gone in the world, and I answered them that I think we're fighting a cult mentality, such as the cult of modern liberalism. The logic is being blocked and suppressed. If you've noticed some of the reports that people have been posting about conservatives being blocked and banned on social media, that's part of the process of stifling information that has could have a radical impact on arguments, such as opposing viewpoints, evidence that might contradict or even make people aware of what governments might be doing or organizations might be doing. They shut that down by calling it right-wing conspiracy theory, such as the either-or fallacy when it comes to lockdowns or vaccines. An either-or fallacy assumes there's no other alternative, and so the logic from that becomes toxic because you're driven into a corner, and propaganda is used to then demonize anyone who presents an opposing viewpoint that challenges the either-or fallacy. So the logic is being turned on its head and used as part of a quest to control what people think, what people say, ultimately what people do. Such as, you're anti-science if you question the fallacy. You're a right-wing extremist if you post an opposing viewpoint from a credible source that is as credible as those being given and provided for by the mainstream media or by individuals within social media who are influencers, blah, blah, blah. Part of the problem is, as far as Christians go, is weak-kneed Christian leaders in the church who are too scared to stand up and speak the truth. COVID cultism is real. And the majority of those Christian leaders are as blind as the blind guides who they follow and take their cues from. Throw in Black Lives Matter to the mix for legitimacy and CRT and intersectionality, and you're easily pinned down by the way of propaganda as being racist, bigoted, or wanting people to die. Anything the left does is always right for the right reasons. This is what we're told. This is what they want us to believe. Anything the right does is always and will forever be of the devil. So they feed off a false dichotomy between the right and the left, which is a metaphor, a political metaphor. And there's never any real black or white line between left and right. There are people who are on the left who agree with some people on the right. There are people on the right who agree with some people on the left. But they use this false dichotomy to paint this idea of sinlessness, that they are a self-righteous entity, a messianic entity that has the only solution to the world's problems, such as racism, such as vulnerable communities being oppressed, the poor, things like that. Anything the left does in that regard is considered to be saintly. So you could march in troops and wipe people down who they've targeted and mocked and made as the enemy by manufacturing a crisis around that particular people group in order to dominate, control, and take over. When I say beware the auctioneers, I mean beware of the blind guides, which is something that Jesus taught us about when he talked to the people about the Pharisees and the self-righteous people who promote themselves above others. And we saw that this week, and there's an article up on Cauldron Pool that I did on the beginning of the week about Trump being turned into a Scrooge. Now, outbidding about giving and who gives what and how much, it might be fitting for charity auctions, but it has no place in politics. The other article is on the Coptic Solidarity Report for 2020, which talks about the abduction of Christian women in Egypt by Islamists. It's an important article to read. There's a report that goes with that in the link. They're all hyperlinked. It's referenced, painstakingly referenced. I've checked right back to a congressional hearing in 2011, looked at different angles just to make sure that I'm understanding everything correctly. So check it out. It's an important read. There are a few things up from Ruth Bader Ginsburg, from Bill Muhlenberg and Mark Powell. Both are great reads. I recommend checking those out as well. And last, a new one up today about a working mum who's bullied out of the workplace because she disagrees with LGBTQAAI plus ideology being taught to children as if it were unquestionable scientific fact. And that is exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about the auctioneers and blind guides. I mean, you can't just dismiss someone's argument as unscientific if, say, for instance, when it comes to the COVID cult, you challenge the either-or fallacy by saying, look, Sweden, Japan, and Hong Kong, there's patterns there that say that they're actually fighting it really well, and they don't have to use the totalitarian countermeasures that are being applied, say, in Victoria. You know, you're a right-wing conspiracy theorist, and all the little pushbacks and slogans come out that just dismiss you, which is toxic. It's not helpful. It's not part of argument or reasoned debate. It's not logic, and that's part of the problem. Check it out, cauldronpool.com.